When I was a child, my family was like a water drop in the broad ocean, never staying in one place. We eventually settled down in Springfield, an economically thriving city. The only problem is that we, as a family, could not keep up financially. This would lead to shameful acts. Families that come from old money were auspicious in the social hierarchy, while we, the rats, were barely scraping by. My father, James, always thought even though we have no single trait indicating our opulence, we as a family were unencumbered. My father died a criminal with good intentions, and he got publicly executed. My mother and I ate our heart's content. We always assumed when father left he was working hard to put food on the table, but he was stealing from other people's hard work. Disappointment could not describe what I was feeling. It was betrayal and shame that ran through my fragile body. My mother found a job that paid well after my father had been executed. This newfound financial stability would give me the ability to complete secondary school. Throughout my school life, my intelligence proved superior to the average student, but this did not matter, as the education system was built on lies, blatantly corrupt. I was the age of 18 when I finished school, and it was this age when my mother lost her job. My mother told me, "Vince, I know life hasn't always been fair. Don't go around it, face it head on." What I'm trying to say is, don't do anything illegal. You're the man of the house now. I was 4 months in my inefficacious job, barely making enough money for the two of us, let alone myself. It was during this physically and mentally straining time I discovered a reprehensible pattern in my family. I looked out my window. The sky had a hint of black, and the clouds were moving closer to me. It was raining. The soothing sound, a natural melody it produced as it hit my windows. This beautiful melody was comparable to an angel's blissful voice, but this was interrupted as I see my mother surreptitiously leaving the house like she was hiding something. I followed her into the long, dark and menacing hallway. A small gap between the two houses that were built a lifetime ago. This gap was cold and uninviting, and in the crevices of the dingy alleyway out came a stocky man with bloodshot eyes. His movement was quite peculiar, like he was dancing, dressed like he just came out of prison. I wondered what my mother was doing with that vile man. I thought to myself, what if she was always like this? Father did say appearances can be deceiving. Mother had lost her way, and she's now on the bottom of the moral high ground. She had sold her body for money. At first, my fists clenched tighter than a knot, my jaw clenched, my eyes were about to puff off my eye sockets, and my heart rate was beating at a velocity beyond science. I felt a dying urge to run up and knock the living daylights out of that revolting man, but instead of letting my emotions consume me, I ran away. I left the collisionous alleyway, rushing through the rain mindlessly until I bumped into a colossal-sized man in a black polyester suit. My knees buckled and I collapsed. The peculiar man and I shared an in-depth conversation about life values and how wealth corrupts all. He introduced himself as Mr. Bossman. I didn't dare to question his strange name. I explained my desperate situation to Mr. Bossman, and it appeared that he took a liking to me and offered me a job that would stand against everything my mother stood for. But then again, I just witnessed her true nature. "Producing crystal meth? Why me? Isn't that highly illegal?" said Vince, terror-struck. "Listen here, kid. Anyone with an in-depth understanding of chemistry could have taken this job. But I like you, hence the reason why I picked you. Illegal? Yes, it is. But think about it. All you have to do is make a simple chemical compound. You receive enough money to give your mother a good life, and you'll be attending parties, exploring a new world," said Mr. Bossman, trying to his absolute hardest to bring Vince to his side. Quite a pitch. Well, shit, I'm in. But only so I can provide for my mother. Don't get it twisted. A few days later, I'm in a dingy lab, cooking crystal meth. I question my morals, but I use my mother as an excuse for my immoral actions. As I walk through the drug-contaminated lab, I take a look at my life and realize there's nothing left, except for my mother. After weeks of rigorous hard work, I finally received my first paycheck. I forgot all the trouble in the world when I saw the stacks of cash lying in the briefcase asking to be spent. It was this moment I realized how wealth had corrupted me, as the thought of my mother's well-being hasn't crossed my mind for weeks. All this money I earned through lies and corruption were for my personal gain. I was within and without, simultaneously enchanted and repelled by the inexhaustible variety of life, said Vince dispiritingly. Hey kid, stop rambling. One of the biggest parties held all year is happening tomorrow, and I need you to package and sell the crystal meth at the party, grumbled Mr. Bossman with an impatient expression. I didn't sign up for this. You never said anything about selling drugs, only distributing, said Vince with a feeling of contempt. We lost our guy. You're the only guy left. Remember, this is for your mother's well-being, said Mr. Bossman manipulatively. Today was the day. I part ways with my mother, watching over her as an anonymous donor. I get inside a car with Mr. Bossman. Our destination is the grand party. I go inside the alluring monumental mansion. This party attracts everyone from every walk of life. Instead of relishing in this extravagant party, I was forced to sell drugs. Abruptly, there was a cacophony of deafening screaming, telling everyone to put their hands up. I felt like a chapter in my life had closed. The police had caught me with bags of crystal meth in my hands. There was no way around this dilemma, and they threw me to the ground and put me in cuffs. Vince with his final breath before descending to the hell on earth known as prison. He uttered, "I'm sorry, mother. I have failed you."